Hello and welcome to Unapologetic, the UK podcast on politics, news and stuff from a right-of-centre viewpoint. And we've got here today Sam.
Hi.
I'm Steve, and we have our elder statesman, Jonathan. Say hello, John.
Hello.
There you go. Okay, so we've got a few things we're going to talk about tonight, and the first one we're going to talk about is Scottish independence. So apparently thousands of people have marched through Edinburgh in support of Scottish independence. There was a carnival atmosphere, the report says, as they waved flags and banners from Holyrood Park to a rally in the Meadows. Joanna Cherry, the SNP MP who led the legal fight against Boris Johnson's decision to suspend Parliament, is amongst those who addressed the rally. Earlier, Nicola Sturgeon tweeted to say she will be at the march in spirit but not in person. Be in no doubt, she said, independence is coming.
I like that, being there in spirit. It's like I don't want to come and be associated with it, so I just pretend I am.
It's my day off.
Yeah.
We were there in spirit too, weren't we?
Exactly.
Were you, Jonathan? Were you there in spirit?
Well, yes. The first thing that strikes me with this, which is interesting, is that I'm assuming that this is the Edinburgh where 61% of people voted no to independence, or is this another one in a parallel dimension?
No, I think that is probably the same Edinburgh. As far as I know, there's only one proper Edinburgh, but perhaps there's more. America does a lot of that, where they would name cities the same as English and Scottish
that's
cities.
what I was
so maybe.
wondering, because you're holding a independence rally in just about the area in Scotland which most voted to stay in.
Well, lots of people turned up apparently, although the exact numbers are in dispute. I think they claim there were 100 million, and then the people who were actually there say there were some thousands. Right. You know, the usual score.
Yeah.
And there was like 10.
No, well, if you look at the picture, we're going to actually put a picture on the thumbnail for this podcast, and it does look like there were quite a lot of people, to be fair, but I don't think there were perhaps the huge numbers they're claiming.
Well, were they all dressed in clown masks? They've been incited by the Joker movie.
All waving Scottish flags. So, what do you think? Do you think, actually, in all seriousness, do you think that the whole Brexit thing is going to lead to Scottish independence, Jonathan?
If it does, they'll go through the same problems, in as much as what sort of deal would we conclude with Scotland? If you take, for instance, the Shetland Islands, 2/3 of them voted to stay in the UK. So do the Shetland Islands remain in the UK, or do they go into Scotland?
I can see this kind of spinning off to smaller and smaller things. So then the Shetland Island people want independence because they don't like the independence the Scottish are proposing. And then what about if there's a town, or if there's a street in the Shetland Islands where they disagree?
The other interesting one is the Orkney Islands, where less than 1 in 3 voted for independence, so they presumably want to stay in the United Kingdom. So we've got the Shetlands and the Orkneys remaining in the United Kingdom. The border area, they voted 66% in favour of staying in the United Kingdom, so that we'll need to negotiate a movement to the border in Scotland to take in the border area to remain in the United Kingdom.
It's like having our own private statistician.
Well, yes, but I mean, the point is that it's not an independent Scotland is no more simple than an independent United Kingdom leaving Europe. In fact, we've had a 50 year trade deal with Europe, and it's taken forever to get out of that. We've had 300 years of coexistence with the Scots, and unravelling that. All sorts of issues like, if you're more than 50% Scottish, who pays your pension?
Yeah, but to be fair, a lot of the delay has been caused by our politicians, not so much by the difficulty of leaving. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the meme, Sam. Have you seen this meme on Facebook? A picture of Mrs. Thatcher with, she'd have had us out by tea time.
Yeah, I saw that. And then there was actually really some mean comments on there as well, weren't there? Saying the Wicked Witch is dead and all that, which I thought was pretty mean.
Oh, well, who cares what the lefties say? That's what I say. Well, anyway, moving on.
I just wanted to say that if they Scots, they may kill us, but they're never going to take our freedom.
Oh dear.
Worst film ever.
I've actually never seen it, but...
Just pulled up a quote of a movie you've never seen. Anyway, moving on. So, talking about Boris Johnson, I'll just read the report. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is prepared to challenge Queen Elizabeth II to dismiss him rather than resign as he attempts to push through Brexit by the October the 31st deadline. This is reported by the Sunday Times, citing senior aides. Mr Johnson would not step aside if his Brexit proposals were rejected by the European Union, and even if members of the UK Parliament declare no confidence in his government and agree to a caretaker Prime Minister to replace him, according to reports, he's still not going to step aside. So he's saying, call the police, I'm not going anywhere. What do you think of that, Sam?
I think it's awesome. I wonder if they actually will call the police to Downing Street.
Can you
Apparently,
imagine?
a monarch hasn't, and he's saying he wants the Queen to sack him, and a monarch hasn't sacked. This is my research. A monarch hasn't sacked a prime minister since 1834.
What-
Well, I couldn't tell you who it was. I didn't do that.
Well,
My research didn't go
what was
that
the
far.
Prime Minister sacked for then?
I don't know. I didn't. Literally, I didn't do much research.
This is the most basic research ever.
Yeah.
Right, the person you're talking
Oh,
about
here we go.
is Lord Melbourne,
Here we
who,
go.
who was a Liberal Prime Minister, and he got turfed out by William IV. He's an interesting... bear in
You
mind,
just know everything.
bear in mind, he's a Liberal, a Whig Prime Minister, which nowadays we call Liberals.
Right, to call
He,
them Lib
he
Dem,
opposed...
officially.
He,
There's no
three-
similarities to Liberals and Lib Dems. You said that in a previous podcast.
No, it's true.
Apart from the... he opposed the 1832 Reform Act, which sort of basically gave the vote to, the peasantry, for want of a better word. He opposed the abolishment of slavery, and he opposed the repeal of the Corn Laws,
Are
which
you
actually
sure,
led to
though?
starvation in Ireland.
Because looking on Wikipedia, it says that it was a Conservative MP, John Stuart Wortley, that had made a no confidence motion. He resigned in 1841.
This is a different occasion. He came back as Prime Minister 6 months later, but he was sacked by William IV in 1834.
Do you guys realise this is supposed to be a fun podcast, not a
I know.
not a
No,
battle of the political
People
nerds?
people like to have interest in facts. People aren't stupid.
Well, what if
Yeah,
it turns
very
out you're
smart
both
people.
wrong? What if people in the comments are like, you idiots, this isn't what happened at all? You know you've got trolls watching you, Sam.
No, I'm just reading. I just think Jonathan Mark, because I'm just looking. It says here, Lord Melbourne was not yet Prime Minister, was by her bedside on Grey's resignation. Whoever Grey, Lady Jane Grey, maybe
No.
someone Grey. Anyway, on her resignation.
Christian Grey?
Christian Grey,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, your
In
knowledge
1834,
of history is astounding.
King William IV appointed Lord Melbourne as a Prime Minister who would be the least bad choice, and he remained in office for 7 years, except for the 5 months following 1834 when Sir Peel was in charge. Oh, so he was sacked in 1834 as well.
That was the year he was sacked, 1834.
Oh, yeah, so you were about right. You were
but-
right about that, I think.
You're having sort of criticised your research. I think the Times, this was emanating from the Times, wasn't it? Their research, they can't even use Wikipedia, I think, because the last time the Queen sacked a Prime Minister was in fact 1975, when she sacked Gough Whitlam, who was the Prime Minister of Australia, and replaced him with a caretaker Prime Minister, Malcolm Fraser, in remarkably sort of similar circumstances to the present day.
Well, to save our fun podcast from the Walking Encyclopedia, I'll just read the next bit of the
Can I just clarify as well? It's actually the actual
Oh,
Grey
no.
we were talking about is Prime Minister Earl Grey.
Yes,
Not
the
Lady
man
Grey or
who
Christian Grey.
No, the man who had the tea named after him.
Yeah. Or did he name the tea? Did he name the tea?
No, the tea was named after him.
Okay, good to know. So moving on, apparently failure to reach a deal would set Britain on a course for a constitutional showdown with few precedents. Mr Johnson has promised to pull the country out of the EU on October the 31st, whether the talks succeed or not, while Parliament has already legislated to prevent him from taking the UK out of the European bloc without a withdrawal agreement. Unless the police turn up at the doors of 10 Downing Street with a warrant for the Prime Minister's arrest, he won't be leaving, one senior Conservative has said in the report. So, that's a real challenge. Can you imagine? He'll actually go down in the history books if he stands there and is arrested by the police as the Prime Minister of the UK for basically keeping his promise to the people of the UK.
Yeah, it's really going to be a constitutional crisis.
I just said that.
I know.
Thank you for backing up the constitutional crisis.
And it's even worrying because you had today, it was, I can't remember the guy's name now. He was a Conservative and we kicked him out. And he was saying on Twitter, oh, we don't want an election because the Conservatives would win. And I was like, that's a bit off, really, isn't it?
Well, it's a bit honest.